All right, you know what? It's 10:01.
Let's go.
Get started, and I'm just going to continue to let people in, okay?
All right, fantastic. Well, thank you for that, Miriam, and good morning, everyone. Thank you for all who have joined. Welcome, Tom, as well. I see you've joined as well. I'm Bay. If you couldn't tell from the image or video, you can see me on the slide, a younger, more energized version of Bay. But quick little background about me. I spent over 25 years in corporate environments, largely growth-centric roles. Could be sales enablement, marketing, pricing, product, and the last number of senior leadership roles was running lines of business, full P&L ownership, and so on. And I've had experience, Fidelity Investments, CIBC, TELUS, People Corporation. And in the last handful of years, I've been doing growth consulting. What I realized how that happened was I realized that, through those, years of experience, I started to hone and develop a certain set of skills that are fantastic, by the way, especially in corporate environments, but perhaps not accessible to smaller size businesses in different industries and so on. So started speaking to founders, started speaking to CEOs, and realized that they may value a lot of that. So that's what I've been doing for the last number of years. Hopefully, I can demonstrate it through today's webinar, and there is a series of 6 webinars, this being the first of them, on recession-proofing your business. So you're going to see that, and today's all about targeting the right clients. But I'll pause there, hand the mic over to Miriam. Miriam, if you'd like to introduce yourself, and then we can get going.
Amazing. Thanks. Thank you, Bay. We've known each other for 20 plus years, and every time I hear what you've accomplished over the past 20 years just blows my mind even more. For some of you that don't know me, my name is Miriam Golubgir. I own Digital Marketing Experts. I started this business 12 years ago after being in the digital marketing industry for 8 years. Wow, been at it for 20 years. So I started it because I came from a corporate world just like they, and I was learning how to manage digital marketing strategies with massive budgets. And when I started my business, I started working with SMBs and their budget shrunk. So I had to come up with the best way and the most productive way to work with these small businesses and medium-sized businesses that didn't have the massive budgets and the huge departments. So it's been a fantastic journey. I've learned a lot of more on the technical side of things. So I started on search engine optimization and Google advertising, and then expanded into social media advertising. And now I'm learning more about how AI plays a role in whether you're setting up, sales funnels, or you're setting up any sort of a marketing strategy on a top level for your SMB. How is my strategy going to work for you and make it that it's sustainable ongoingly for 5 to 10 years, so you don't have to continuously change your website and come up with brand new ideas? Not that you don't have to, but we work with our clients to come up with strategies that are long-term, data-driven, and it's easy to execute. And the reason we're doing these 6 webinar series is because uh, I get asked almost every day, what do I need to do? There's a recession coming. What should I focus on? And the answer is very simple. You just got to pivot, but you have to pivot, being smart about how you pivot, and have a plan, an overall plan from the core of the business up. So we're going to talk about that in the next 6 series, and we have another 6 coming up. So we're just working on them, and there's just good content for you guys to hold on to. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask the questions. The chat bot is open, so go ahead and ask. And if you feel that you need to ask it right now, otherwise you're going to forget about it, it's okay to, stop us and ask your question at that moment. So, Bay, do you want to get going and start with your
Yeah,
portion of
yeah,
the
I'll kick
presentation?
off. I'll kick off. Thank you for that. And thank you for the comment regarding, please jump in, stop me at any point, any questions. All questions are good questions, especially if I'm not articulating myself well, but I'm sure everyone will get value. So on that note, while we're not trying to, create any anxiety, anytime I turn on the news, go to any website, just trying to find out what's happening in the world, especially in the markets, downturn, recession's coming up. Okay, yes, it's going to give us a lot of anxiety. We're not trying to cause anxiety, quite the opposite. How do how do most people now fundamentally manage their business when this is happening, right? And most often, most founders, what they end up doing is trying to cast a wide net and do as much as possible. They're trying to reach as many clients as possible, chase every lead as possible, and so on. And fundamentally, that's causing you more stress on your business than helping. And we're going to address that. How do you do that? Or how do you solve for that? Is fundamentally targeting and sharpening the focus on the right clients, your most valuable clients, and a term you're going to keep seeing coming up, your ideal client profile, your ICP. So why does focus matter? Like I said, most times everyone's just trying to chase everything, right? I'm going to call it the big casting a wide net. When you cast a wide net, you're trying to catch anything that's out there. But the alternative, or I guess on the other side of the coin, is you're draining your resources, you're diminishing your profitability because you're doing more than you necessarily need to do. And just because you may get volume, you're probably not going to get profitability because fundamentally you're eroding your margins and reducing the amount of growth you're getting. So the alternative to that is maximize your impact by sharpening your focus, drive sustainability, and get precise growth through strategic targeting of clients. Strategic client focus being your ideal client profile. And I know the heuristic, everyone knows the 80-20 heuristic, largely, or I'm going to say roughly right, 80% of your growth, your revenues, your profitability is coming from 20% of the clients that you possess or that you engage or that are out there. And the intent of this entire conversation, today's webinar, is how do we narrow the focus? So we're going to start here and we're going to continue as we go through these slides, narrow the focus down and get really sharp into that 20% so that anytime we engage the market, those 20% are the ones that we're winning over and over and over. Okay, so I talked about the 80-20 rule. Who are these high value clients and why do they matter? The high value clients are essentially those that have the highest lifetime value, which means that they're going to purchase from you. They're going to purchase more often. They're going to stay with you longer. They're likely, or they have a lower propensity to churn out, to leave your business. And sometimes they may even act as advocates. How great is that, right? To have someone say, hey, you know what? Reach out to the following business, to the following founder. They've been great with me. You may get value from them as well. I mean, there's all kinds of benefits in really sharpening your focus on these high value clients, these ICPs, as we're going to get into. And on the low value client side, I mean, fundamentally, like I said, if you're casting a wide net, you're just draining your resources. Your profitability is going to suffer. It's going to require a lot more hand holding because those not ideal clients are also the ones that you're going to get a lot of phone calls on, that you need to support more, that are taking away time from your sales folks or from yourself or from your client experience folks, and they're not the ones you want. So again, the 80-20 rule largely holds true here. And the gap between best clients and worst clients, especially during a recession or market downturn, becomes even more heightened and more pronounced. So really sharpen the needle as we go along. So next one, how do we define these ideal clients? Well, this is not just a guessing game. It's not touch a finger in the sky and pick out the clients. Not at all. It's heavily data driven. And it is going to require you, whether it's yourself as a founder, to go through your client data, your purchasing data. It could be with your finance person, if you have a finance person, or if your business is bigger, if you have an analyst, even better, right? And fundamentally, you're going to want to jump into the data, client data, purchasing data, revenue data, whatever data you have. The more the data, the better. And you want to define your ICP based on a number of variables. And, I have 5 on here, but there could be more, including, client segment size, right? Small business, medium, enterprise size. It could be industries, sectors, not on here. But as you go through that data and you're analyzing it, you want to capture the ones that have the highest profitability, the strongest retention rates, which means that you win the client and they stay with you longer. They're more loyal. Obviously, if they're an advocate, even better. You may not be able to capture that from, the level of data you have, but that's okay. Those with the highest growth potential, and this goes back to understanding who are these clients? What industries do they serve? Are the industries growing? Right? And obviously the servicing cost could be lower. They purchase, hands off, and they go on, or they purchase frequently, hands on, and so on. And fundamentally, they have a strategic fit with the strengths, services, and the value that you provide. So the more you sharpen that focus, that lens through deep analytics or just even high level analytics, you're going to get much more value, right? You move away from casting this wide net and start to understand your clients. And I talked about this through this entire presentation and webinar. You're going to see that recurring theme, right? Sharpen your focus, get really narrow, understand clients, understand what drives them, understand their industries, understand the problems they're having so that you can better serve them, especially during a downturn economy. So let's move on to the next slide. So once you've done that analysis, you've begun to assess, who these high value clients are, those with the better strategic fit. Take your client data and or just for yourself. It could be your clients, existing clients, and you can layer this on your existing clients, or you could just create type profiles, right? And in this case, I've been giving you guys, and this is, as an example, but it's rather suitable. 3 tiers. Tier number one are the types of clients that you want to invest in, significantly. These are the ones that have a higher propensity to grow. They're buying from you frequently. They have a much higher potential spend. So put them in tier one, both your existing clients as well as those in the market that fit that type of profile. The second one, tier two, you want to nurture them. They buy, but sometimes they buy and then they move on. They don't churn out, but they're not as good of a strategic fit. You want to nurture them, and you want to move them along in this journey to get to tier one, but they're not there yet. And the last one, tier three, you want to limit engagement. Either they don't buy, they don't need your services, they don't buy from you specifically, or they buy and they churn out. Well, you want to limit that. Now, I will say this is an exercise. It's not just a one time. It's great to do it the first time, but you want to revisit it, right? And I'll say your ideal client profile, it's your North Star for your sales, for your marketing, and your service teams. The more you understand about your clients, the more value you'll be able to bring to them, but also to your business. And it's really, really critical. And by the way, you get to do this without additional spend so that when you engage the market, and Miriam's going to be talking about that, when you engage the market, you have a higher propensity to win. Okay, so now we know who our ideal clients are, right? We've defined out our ideal clients. What do we do? Well, the first thing we don't do, and I've talked about it, right? You don't want to cast out this wide net through your marketing, your advertising, your sales efforts. You don't want to cast out a wide net to everyone, right? So avoid those generic campaigns. And I started right here on the right side. Avoid the generic campaigns because, if you get a message from the market, right? I'm going to pick up my iPhone. I have the best product or service. It's so great, and let me tell you about it, and here's my price. You're not going to get as much attention as opposed to some advertising that says, hey, you, Mr. and Mrs. Founder, I understand your industry, and I also understand this is the challenge you're having. And I know how to solve that challenge through the following solution. Well, you have a much better conversation, right? Obviously, you'll take that meeting or phone call, which is much better, right? So this goes back to personalize your value prop. Understand the client, understand their challenges, and understand the value you're going to be able to bring to them. And then secondly, for those existing clients, especially those who are on the higher value, right? You want to tailor your packages, right? You want to create either premium packages, tailor packages, and so on. And just very quickly, as an example, I have a client in Beverly Hills. She has a med spa, owner operator, right? And she wanted to win more business. Well, yes, there's an element of going win new clients, but with her existing clients, we started packaging tailored solutions, very premium type of offerings. And again, they're in Beverly Hills, right? So, on Rodeo Drive, clearly, the type of client that she is serving is a higher value client. So we started to define out based on the profile of those clients and sending out, very tailored premium, bespoke solutions just to them. And there was a significant uplift in the spend of those existing clients without having to do any sort of additional marketing, without lowering price and so on. And that's a very critical thing. So I'll take one more step before I begin to wrap up. The last one, I talked about price. You want to avoid changing prices for yourself. Why? Because immediately, as you start getting into the pricing game, it's a slippery slope and it's only a downhill journey, right? And this happens, it is a knee-jerk reaction. It's rather common, especially in downturn economies. When things are challenging, you want to continue to get business. So initial instinct from all, business owners, operators, founders is let me reduce my price. But by doing that, you're essentially devaluing your business, you're reducing your margins, and obviously your revenue and growth. So, how do you offset that? Well, start by focusing on the problem you're solving for the clients. And how do you do that? Well, it starts with doing the analysis and defining out who your ideal clients are, understanding who those clients are, and then tailoring your messages to those clients, right? Start with the problem you're solving or the return on investment, the ROI that you're providing them. It's going to be very critical. You're going to have a much better conversation by that, and you're fundamentally moving away from a pricing discussion. The second thing is talk about value. So every time, even, through negotiations and discussions, if, potential clients starts talking about price, pivot, don't dismiss it, pivot towards the problem you're solving, and then the value that you're going to be bringing to them. It could be sometimes as buy two, get one free. And I'm using that as a very simple example. Or, yes, during a tougher economy, we'll be able to give you an additional something that usually costs, $1 more a month, whatever it is, but add more value before you start discounting. And like I said, outcomes is going to be really critical for you to, shift away from the price discussion. Obviously, there's a time and place for price reevaluations, especially if your prices are offside. But my recommendation, and again, I've seen this especially at big corporate and in small businesses, even big corporate like a TELUS, right? Yes, the knee-jerk reaction is to go on price, but we've always observed that the outcome is not the right outcome for the business. And in fact, sometimes even for the customer, because then the customer starts shopping exclusively on price and negating the problem that they're trying to solve. And even when they make that purchase decision, fundamentally, it may not solve the problem they're trying to that they have, right, that they're experiencing. So I'll wrap it up before handing it over to Miriam. Quick little action plan, 5 steps. Number one, start by collecting your data, analyzing it. You don't need to, have team of analysts. They don't need to be data scientists, but begin to understand, who these clients are, who's purchasing from you, how much are they purchasing, how frequently are they purchasing your, higher value products or just those low basic value products. Based on that, rank them, right? I gave you 3 tiers, and you're going to get this presentation in the webinar video, but rank them based on whatever is of value for you, and really then start to sharpen your focus on, in this example, the tier one types of clients. Those tier ones are going to be giving you much more value in your business. Then, and almost lastly, tailor all your sales, marketing activities, your advertising, your messaging, all around the problem you're solving for that ideal client within their industry segment and so on, right? Within that profile. And that's where you're going to have a much better propensity of winning. So you see, we started off like this, right? Casting that wide net, and we're narrowing the focus. The last one, number 5, this isn't a one-time activity. Yes, if you've never done this, you're going to get tremendous value out of it, but you're going to continually get more value as you do this activity frequently. So in the corporate environment at TELUS, or one of my clients, a big Canadian law firm, it's great that we do this for the first time or for the second time, but in a place like TELUS or even the law firm, we're revisiting it every quarter. For your business, it could be monthly or it could be yearly, whatever works for you, but continually refine it, because as you refine it, obviously the market's changing, client purchasing patterns are changing. You're going to continually get more and more value out of it as you do that. I'll pause there. There wasn't any questions, so I hope that was good. But if there's questions afterwards you'd like to meet with me, please reach out. And I'm going to stop sharing. Unless there's any questions, please interrupt me. And I'm going to hand it to Miriam.
That was amazing. Thank you for that. Okay,
Thank you.
so I'm going to share mine and start with the fact that what you're going to hear from my end is basically very mirrored content and information that Bay just shared, but from the digital marketing perspective. And I wanted to put that out there. So we're going to talk about a few important points that I think, as I said, it's a mirror of what Bay says, but it from the digital perspective, what you need to be doing. So the point of this presentation is to equip you guys with strategies that kind of focuses on who are your best clients and safeguarding that revenue in like very uncertain times. And we see this. We see a lot of businesses right now having trying to figure out what's the plan and how they're going to grow as time goes. So Bay mentioned the high value versus low value clients. So as you know, in every business, there's a small percentage of clients that basically bring in the most amount of the majority of revenue. And these high value clients are not only more profitable, but also are more loyal and a lot more cost effective to serve. And the contrast to that would be the low value clients where we will require to put in so much more effort into them, and they're a lot more draining our resources, and they contribute very little growth to our revenue. So we have to figure out how to focus on the right clients to ensure that stability and scalable growth. From the digital perspective, using digital tools like Google Analytics and your CRM system, whether it's Zoho or HubSpot, and combining them with any sort of an AI-driven segmentation will help you pinpoint and nurture your best clients. And if you are using HubSpot or any CRM system like Zoho, they already have AI-driven segmentation built into them. So including that into your CRM is very important. So what is the point? What are we trying to achieve? We're trying to figure out and identify who are our clients with the highest lifetime value, as we call them LTV, and kind of spot sort of patterns in profitability and client behavior. And then once we figure out what those patterns are, we want to create a direct marketing spend towards acquiring more of these particular high value customers. And again, when you look at your analytics, using your user segmentation part of your analytics and looking at your channel acquisition to see where they're coming from will kind of give you a clear idea of what patterns you're looking at. So Bay mentioned your ICP, and these are your ideal client profiles. And the whole world of online drives on segmenting users and clients because when you have a target audience and you know how to segment them, whether it's from demographic perspective or psychographic or behavior or even from the pain point perspective, it's so much easier to target them and kind of create that precise targeting for that high value customer and knowing how to getting the better return on our investment. So how do we achieve that? Well, number one is when you segment your client and you know what demographic, or you're looking at mothers between the ages of 25 to 45, and they have, let's say, an $80,000 plus income, and you know that their shopping patterns involves looking at what you have and then looking at what's available on Amazon or Walmart. Creating a search engine optimization strategy around this particular client is so much easier because you know what language you need to be adding in there, and then you can put together a conversion ad campaign, so you can convert them from being just an online user to someone who's going to come to your website because you're organically came up on the search engines, and then the ads kind of retarget them and follow them everywhere. So now they're here on the website. You manage to put the right content so you can capture them. Another way of going about it is to create a lookalike audience. So how does this work? Well, with Meta, Facebook and Instagram, even with Google ads and LinkedIn ads, you can actually replicate who's your best client and reach similar high value prospects to those individuals. And then, as I said, when you do a good SEO, strategy execution, and you know that I'm bringing in the right target audience based on this particular demographic, and have a good campaign set up, you then, once they come into the website, or the join your, or you're sending them to your YouTube, you need to create really good content. You got to create blogs, videos, white papers, guides to kind of address any sort of a pain point this ideal client profile or ICP has. And you want to kind of create that engagement and trust between your products and or your services and this particular customer that you're going after. If you can see on the right side of this presentation, I put in user segmentation based on online interest. So this is just a breakdown of what was going on in 2024 versus what's available, what their interest levels are for 2025. I'll post that on our social media, and I'll send out an email about it as well, so you guys can have it. It's a really good way of looking at what are the interests, especially if you are checking out your Google Analytics and you're running any sort of a Google Ads or LinkedIn or Meta Ads. You'll be able to look at these and say, well, if this is where people are more interested in, can I utilize this, and will my audience be interested in any of these as well? So not all clients should be served the same content, and we know this, and not all of them should be served the same way. I will never run a digital marketing campaign on Instagram, but I will run it on LinkedIn because I'm targeting other businesses. So the chances of them looking at it from LinkedIn and wanting to work with me is a lot higher. So segmenting clients kind of allows my business to kind of allocate resources a lot more effectively and provide that super premium experience to my high value clients, and kind of maintain that efficiency with my lower value clients. So how do I do this?
Miriam, could I ask a quick question?
Yeah,
Hey, sorry, it's Neil.
that's okay. Go ahead.
So in a previous lifecycle marketing role, like we would absolutely do this and look for like lookalike clients of our, top customers and try to really target them with high value offers. But what we would come up against internally oftentimes was we would try to focus on like the top two deciles of those types of lookalikes. Yet sometimes leadership or upper management was, really still pushing to, you know, cascade the offer from the mountaintops and target more and more and more customers, which really dilutes the segmentation purpose.
Mhm.
So, any advice or any hard fast facts that can kind of back up the fact that this should really be a highly targeted offer, and as you push down the funnel into more and more customers or potential customers, you're diluting the uptake of the offer.
Oh, 100%. So what we always recommend, so when I run a sales flow or an email automation flow, I only take one target audience and build one lookalike for that one target audience. That one target audience, if I have, so I'll give you an example. I work with a government-mandated organization that deals with social workers. And one of the target, so they have an employer aspect to it, and then they have the public aspect to it. From the public aspect, I only go after moms between the ages of 35 to 45, and I have a particular income level, and I build a target audience, a lookalike for that one particular. And I'll tell you why. It's so much easier to if you can set up 10 funnels for 10 different target audience and build a lookalike for 10 different target audience. And you can go back and look at which one of these were far more profitable, and there were better ROI on that one particular audience. And it's so much easier to say, okay, you know what? This demographic that I picked, I did great with it because I can see the numbers. If you dilute and you add based on one interest, so let's say everybody that watches TV, how many people are you attracting? There's so many people you're going after. So wouldn't it make more sense if you break it into as niche as possible, and then play around with that one flow that you've created, for the lack of a better word, and kind of create those A/B testings, as what we used to call them, for each one of the flows. Does that make sense?
Oh, sorry, I was muted again. Yeah, it totally makes sense. It's just that push and pull with like
Yeah.
cast a wider net versus be more targeted.
Yeah. Miriam, do you mind if I quickly top up on what you said?
Yeah, yeah, go for it.
Because obviously, by the way, this entire presentation, the webinar is centered around targeting. Neil, you make a really good point, and I generally understand because I've been in roles as you were describing. Yes, management then says, let's cast a wide net, and perhaps ill-informed. My position on how to, I guess, challenge that respectfully to senior leaders is use facts and data where possible, right? So, yes, maybe as a one time, boss says, thou shalt, and you do. But I think over time, as folks on this call, yourself, myself, all of us, right? As we collect data on the campaigns that we've done, we'll be able to analyze the success rates based on how wide, how narrow, and by the way, the various elements, right? Whether it's a promotion, whether it's premium packages, whatever it is, or target audience, you'll be able to capture the facts and data where you've been successful, where you haven't been successful, and I mean that's fundamentally step one, as I was sharing, right? Collect and analyze that data, hopefully to arm you with enough information such that when the boss, senior leaders, the higher ups, as you described, ask you to just continue to cast that wide net, you'll be able to demonstrate to them through the facts and data that you'll be much more successful narrowing the focus and having, very tailored campaigns. I hope that also helps to address.
Yeah, thanks both.
Amazing. Okay, so let's continue this. What are the things that we can do? Email automation flows are fantastic. So again, the conversation has to be about segmenting and making it as personalized as possible for this particular individual. If you buy anything off of Amazon or Walmart, you notice that it's the next set of emails you get, it's very tailored to your purchase pattern, and it's very tailored to who you are and what your potential other purchases could potentially be. So they set up email automation flows. They send tailored campaigns to whichever client tiers that they have, and then they make it based on loyalty offers for top tier clients, and then they give a lot of educational content for others. So if you have bought something, your product is all about, sorry, your email is all about what you bought and how they are willing to give you more and more and more for you to come back and buy more. And then they kind of inform the rest about what they could potentially buy from them. You want to take advantage of the AI personalization tools. So use algorithms to deliver very personalized recommendations and content for each segment. If you have a Shopify website, this works really well. If you have a WordPress website, there are so many different tools, AI-powered tools that you can add in where you can make your content very specific to particular individuals as well. Exclusive client portals are another really good way of going about it. This is where you provide your high value clients with very premium access to resources, to tools, any sort of VIP services, and kind of create that deepened loyalty. Now, you may think, well, how do I do this if I have a mortgage brokerage? You can create resources and tools, something as simple as like a mortgage calculator. It may seem like something small to you, but it's a big deal to someone who's about to, invest in their mortgage. And mortgages are one of the businesses that is getting affected by what we're going through economically. So look at what resources are available, what tools we can provide, make a list of your favorite clients and, offer them additional service, whether it's, an appraisal on their property, whether it's, a look at their existing mortgages for free, just so that it makes them feel very, that they're a VIP and they're getting a particular service from you. Okay. Personalization is the name of the game because we're going into this world of, and we've been going through it for many years. It's all about the online world. The chances of you walking to a brick and mortar store to buy something versus you buying something online, it's a lot more likely that you buy it online rather than going to the store. So clients do still want that personalization, that personal experience that they used to go to the brick and mortar store, but they want to get it online. So they resonate with personalized experiences. And generic campaigns will fall really short and will lead to very low conversions. And if you can create very tailored messaging for very particular type of clients that you have, it will make a huge difference. And again, this goes back to you got to know who you're selling to. Segment them into small pieces, small sections. Whether if you're selling to all women, different age groups, segment them for every one of those age groups. If you're selling to women again that like different products, segment based on the products you've sold to them. You want to create a very dynamic web content. So adjust your headlines, your call to actions, and offer any sort of a website based on any sort of like a experience based on your visitors' behavior. Okay. And then you want to tailor packages, promote premium customized services, and then kind of bundle them and show through remarketing ads. So if I bought from you, now I am eligible to get this premium customized service, and you can remarket to me because you can add me into the list of ads in an email format through your Google Ads and say, hey, Miriam has bought from me, or Miriam's IP has hit my website. Go ahead and remarket to her till she comes back and buys this premium package. Another thing is that's really popular is video storytelling and case studies. Everybody wants to buy somewhere that somebody else has bought. I just went to a resort in Coburg this past weekend because another friend of mine had gone there and she found their video on on Instagram, and she sent it to me, and I booked the trip. I booked a one night stay at this retreat. Um, Again, I did it because it was something that someone else has experienced. So your existing clients, you kind of want to showcase the measurable outcomes that they have received and kind of reinforce trust and demonstrate that there is a return on investment if someone's coming to you and buying from you. One thing that I say all the time to all of my clients is do not give discounts. There's no need to give a discount. You want to protect your margins with your value-driven offers. And competing on price will erode your margins and diminish your perceived value. So no coupons, no discounts. You want to instead focus on demonstrating that the business will have an impact and will have an ROI for them. Okay, so you want to create ad campaigns that are ROI focused. You want to highlight success stories and before and afters if you have, so that people can see that there's a value that they're getting. You can bundle services, so offer a value pack combination, and then so for us, I would do I can do your SEO, your cost per click, and then your marketing. So that's my bundle that I'm giving out. And then you want to look at outcome-centered messaging. So this is where you position your services around tangible growth. Okay, your plan is to generate leads and create some sort of a package where I am going to get revenue impact, traffic increase, or lead generation from my end as a customer of yours, or I'm getting a big value from it. Okay, so what are the steps towards this predictable revenue? So if you want to recession-proof your business, you need to create structures that are repeatable and have repeatable strategies and generate steady revenue even during downturns. Okay, so what do we need to do? We need to have client advocacy programs. This is where we encourage our clients to give us reviews, testimonials, and referral campaigns to build that trust and attract new customers. We want to have quarterly content roadmap. So build a roadmap and say, in the next 6 months, I'm going to publish. What am I going to publish? I'm going to publish consistent ICP aligned content that nurtures relationships and positions me as a brand, as an authority in this brand. You also want to have your key performance indicators measured and tracked. Go on your Google Analytics. If you don't have it, set it up right away. If you don't know how to set it up, give me a call. I will help you, walk you through it, how to do it for free at no cost to you. you need to have your analytics. If you don't take anything from this presentation that I'm providing, take one thing, and that is that I have to have my analytics and I have to look at my numbers and use that real-time analytics to kind of measure my campaign effectiveness, and refine my strategies quickly and see how my website is doing. Build a loyalty campaign. Okay. This is where you reward your top clients with exclusive offers, any sort of an early access, any sort of a VIP content, tools. If you're gonna, talk about them on your social media or send out an email about them, do it. These will make a huge difference in your growth. And the last piece before we talk about any questions that you might have, growth requires clarity, focus, and how you can leverage on digital tools. Okay, so you go online and search. And if you want to have just like a chat, it it's a free chat. Give us a call, either one of us, and let's talk about what tools actually works for you and what tools are you using, and audit them and see if they're actually the right tools for you or not. So I'm gonna stop the show. Just have to figure out how to do it. Here we go. And I'm gonna open the floor to any questions that you may have.
That was fantastic, Miriam. Thank you.
So that means we did really good if there's no questions, or that we were very confusing and people were like, I don't know if I really want to ask any questions.
Phones are going to be buzzing after. Repeat it.
How confusing were we? I wasn't confusing, was it?
Yeah. Any feedback, have the folks on the call, whether, your operators, founders, CEOs, or whatever function or role you have, one, I guess, does this resonate? Neil, it sounds like it's an exercise that you've done previously, but for others, does this resonate? And does it help to offset that the knee-jerk reaction to just try to reach as many people as possible?
Bay, just to jump in, it's Neil again. Certainly resonates. I think it's a constant battle to, let the data speak for itself versus getting caught up in that old trap of, blasting your messages to absolutely everybody. And then the other part of the balance, and maybe you have some insights, or Miriam, you do, is, you know, no, oftentimes you try to use your best customer's profile to get more of them, and then the next step is oftentimes trying to upsell and cross-sell those quote unquote best customers. And
Yeah.
sometimes I felt in previous roles as well, like we were going to the same well a little bit too often. So any thoughts around that or insights?
Yeah, that's a great I guess observation. You are right. Once we really begin to narrow the focus on the ICP, the ideal client, and look, if they're buying and they have a higher propensity to buy, we want to demonstrate value, right? And there's a term, certainly I used at TELUS, I'm sure many of you use it, right? You want to deepen your wallet share, right? Which means that, whatever spend that a client has out in the market, especially within the set of products and services that you offer, you want to win more of that wallet. So it does make sense regarding going back to the same well at the same time. So regarding, either upselling and especially cross-selling at the same time, you don't want to take your eye off the ball in terms of one, winning new clients that are aligned with your ICP, and that's very critical, right? So you still don't want to cast a wide net. You want to win new clients that are aligned to that, while also nurturing your existing clients. And it is a fine balance because, look, at the end of the day, we all have the same 24 hours, budgets are tight, and so on. And the more, again, back to this exercise, right? Narrowing focus, the more sharpened our activities are in terms of who we engage, the higher propensity we are to win those clients. So if we see that, our ICP with our existing clients is doing extremely well, and to Miriam's point regarding precision of those clients, go and find clients just like them, right?
So another piece that I would add into this is that I understand what you're saying. It's just like it's just so hard to want to keep, for a lack of a better term, fish in the same pond over and over and over and trying to see like what results we're gonna get. I think one of the lessons I learned from this a while back was that yes, these are my high value clients, but then I'm also going to leverage them to bring me new clients. And how am I going to do this in a most positive way out there? And, what would entice them to want to refer me to someone they know? And sometimes it just took a very honest conversation. Like, so I partner with a lot of other marketing agencies, and I white label my services for them because we get along well, and they need my services and they just resell my services. And there's been many times where I've asked, are there anybody that you think I would be a fit to work with? And it's either a yes or a no, right? And it's fine. If it's a no, it's a no. But oftentimes it's a yes. And oftentimes it actually comes with, let me tell you how to talk to the Neils of the world that I'm going to introduce you to, or the Bays of the world that I'm going to introduce you to, so that you can get that job. So, I mean, leveraging these individuals as your referral is a great opportunity. And I'm going to add one more thing. I work with this amazing IT company, and he just sent me an email, and I love that I'm sharing this because it was just brilliant. He sent me an email saying, "You've been working with me for about a year, and I know you like working with me. I need you to do me a huge favor. I need you to do a video of you telling the world how much you love working with me. And then I also need you to put up a Google review for me." And he had I want to say Clutch, no, TechCrunch, and he was, "Can you put this on that as well?" I was like, "That's brilliant because you and I have worked together." So asking me for that review from three different spots, it makes absolute sense because now again, even if I didn't think about you, you brought yourself back into my mind today. So if there's a possibility that I might know someone who wants your services because I talked to you and you asked me for a referral and I'm thinking of all the good stuff about you, the chances of me referring you to someone is quite high now.
Miriam, I'm going to add one more thing just because what you mentioned really triggered a thought. And Neil, I don't know if this is something, and not just Neil, but everybody here, if this is something you guys have done. So I was supporting growth consulting with a big international law firm, Canadian-based, 1,500 lawyers, hundreds of millions of dollars revenue. And one of the exercises we did, similar to this advocacy that Miriam's referring to, one of the exercises we did was one, identifying the ICP for one particular lawyer that I was supporting. And based on that, we identified their top 10 clients. But we took that one further. We said, okay, now let's find out who their potential clients are. Some of them we well knew because of the, set of, and the depth of data we had. But leveraging that, we started creating these advocacy programs because we had these top 10 clients that were very successful, very happy with the services that this law firm was providing. And we did all the legwork to identify, some of their potential clients and then built out the advocacy and asked permission from those clients to engage their clients. They didn't need to do anything, but just ask permission so that we can refer them in that we've supported this following client. They've been extremely successful and happy. We know that you guys do a tremendous amount of work together. We'd like to share with you how we've supported them.
That's interesting. Very interesting. All right. So I'm going to end this call. If there's no questions, I will post this recording on both our websites and I'll send an email to everybody about it. Again, thank you everyone for joining in, and I hope you guys can join the next 5 webinars and the ones that are coming up after that. And you know what? Tell your friends about us to join our webinar. And Bae, did you have anything you want to add in?
Nope. Thank you again for your time and for your engagement. Hopefully we've added value. And again, reach out to us if you'd like to chat offline. Be delighted to.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.